Hi, I'm Warwick from Harder & Steenbeck, and I'm really excited about what we've got for you today. One of the people that I hold in the highest affection from my time in the airbrush industry is an artist called Giorgio Uccellini. He's been a friend of mine for many, many years, and we've been trying to find out the right way of bringing him in to make content with us here at Harder & Steenbeck for far too long. We've been going back and forth and discussing it, and then we finally figured out the answer after this funny telephone conversation that I had with him a few weeks ago. I called him up and asked him what he'd been up to. And he said to me, I was just out for a walk and I saw this frog sitting on a rock. And I tried to get a bit closer to get a picture of it, and it hopped off. And so I picked up the rock and took it home and painted it back on. And then I realized that all we really need to do with Giorgio is just to put him in the studio and then just see what he does for us. So one of the things I have asked him to do is to reproduce the frog on a rock. And so I'm very, very pleased to share with you the wonderful Giorgio Uccellini painting the frog back on the rock. Enjoy.
Over the years, I've painted on all surfaces. That's one of the reasons I love the airbrush, is the fact that you can spray on any surface, any surface, and it gives you a nice flat shapes. And going round, I'm sort of picking up bits of stones and images like this, for instance. This is an old butter pat that I found in a junk shop, and I painted an original painting by an Egyptian mummy from about 2000 BC, and other stones, as you can see. They're nice little things to put around. It's a different way of producing art and make nice gifts for people. Now continue and check your reference a lot. There's a shadow this side. We need to give the frog some, to make it lift from the stone, to make it look 3D. And now follow some of the markings on the actual frog. Now for the eye, you need to get in really close. Very small dots. Try to leave a light area for highlight. And there's a marking on the others, the eye at the back. To get a sharp edge as well, I use these art tool curves. If you want a sharp edge, as you can see there, watch. It's difficult to hold it. Hang on. These are the markings on the dark parts of the frog. I'm painting this frog in particular. It's a common frog in the UK, and we have lots of frogs in the pond in the garden, and do lots of photographs. My son does lots of wildlife photography. They're fascinating creatures. Okay, now I've got it just roughed in. I need to change to use white. I'll clean the airbrush, use some, and then change to white to start to bring back some of the form. Spray around to give it a bit more light. I'm going to be using some of these Dr. Phineas Martins today. They're called hydrous. They're acrylic, but very, very fine. Don't really need any thinning. Straight into the airbrush and out. So I'm going to use some of this to get I'll give it, from the reference you can see there's the yellow. So I'll use a hydrous yellow, just a few drops and give it a coat. Doesn't need any thinning. Okay, and then just give it over the frog coat of yellow, sorry, and leaving out the light parts underneath. As you can see, it's a good colour, very, very strong. And just give a little go over the top there. As with lighter colours, we can always take them back. Anyway, that's leg down there. No, there's just a small amount. I'll spray that away. Don't really need to always clean the airbrush. I can go straight in with a brown. If I can find a brown. Yeah, there's a brown. This will mix in with the yellow anyway. Small drop. There you go. Now on the markings, we can come back, especially on the eye. I'll use brown. I mean, I can go over after with black to make it. It should be black, but at the moment I'll use the brown. There's a little marking in front of the leg there. The other thing with this, the good thing about this airbrush, if you're not competent in doing freehand, you can set these easily. You can set it to spray a thin line, just a few turns. That's it, and then you just press and pull back and it'll give you that constant line, which I'll show you doing now. You do get some problems with curved surfaces. You'll get a distortion. You can always correct them as you paint. We give a shadow under the stomach here, belly of the frog. I won't do that because I prefer to do it freehand. Give a little shading around the bottom of the stone, the edge. Some small markings around with a little effect of small pebbles and try and get these long painting, I don't know what they're called, claws. Right, now I'm going to change colour. I've decided to give it a horizon so that I can give it a line across, and it will give the frog more of a lift from the stone. I'm really pleased with these hydrous colours. They hasn't blocked straight from the bottle onto the surface. They're very good, and you don't waste with these. It's a great having the pipette. Just put some blue. Okay, now to give me a sharpish edge, I'll use my large art tool. This is a great piece of kit. I've had this about 30 years and it still works. Just first of all, just go around the top of the stone. Really quite heavy, and then lighten that. And if it looks too dark later, I can always go over with white. So we're just going to split, give it the horizon, use curve. You see that? You can drop that down this side, so like as if he's on a rock. You can use, while I've got the blue in here, you can go into the shadows as well, because it darkens them even though. And then this is layering one colour on top of another. This is blue over brown. Nice. Give from a good distance, give a very light spray over the yellow. I think now we need to go back to some white to bring the highlights out of the belly of the frog. And it's on the undersurface. White always needs to be well shaken. I've got some matte clear as well that I usually put in a few drops into colours, and it helps give a little glaze in between layers. Water. Curve, just stop a bit of the overspray. I mean, this could be painted with masks, but I prefer to do. Over the years, I've never been very good at putting things out, so I prefer to do things freehand. As you can see, that a nice sharp edge now with the dark. You can always tone that down later anyway. There's a white line goes all the way along the top through the eye. Lighten the blue at the top. It's a bit too dark. Clean the airbrush out now. I'm switching to a black to go around some of the markings to get them more defined. Yeah, that's good, strong black there. Okay. You need to get really close with these. You're trying to get very, very fine lines and dots. The marking, it's not a consistent line all the way down. It's broken up. And this one on the front of the leg. It's a black line around the brown, so I can fill the brown in after. There's a little marking there. And then around the when you get very close, you need to keep the pressure very low. Lift your finger up so you barely letting the air through. A few very small markings, the back of the leg here. Under the belly, you can make the shadow quite strong and fade it out. Some small markings on the foot. Do some random marks along the bottom of the stone. Just give some texture. Little grass, bit of grass. I've now switched to a fine brush just to give me a few points, especially on the eye. And around the eye. Try not to shake, having had too much coffee. And bring back the outline. I mean, it's good to use. The airbrush is a great tool for all the painting, but to incorporate it with a set of brushes makes a lot of difference and gives you some good artwork, especially painting in this white. And this Createx white is opaque enough to stand off and just use it straight out of the bottle. Or sometimes I'll use tube acrylics to mix. Because if you want, you can tone these. If they're too white, you can always just go over with the airbrush and bring the colour back. Just some little markings here, give a bit of texture. Give a little orange to lift that, because the yellow on the frog there it's very cold. It's not warm enough. So if we give this orangey yellow, it should make it warm it up. As you can see, and you can go over the the browns as well. That'll just make the brown lighter. And on the bottom of his belly, a light spray underneath him. You're spraying over the blue as well. Nice tones, and you can see where the rock or the stone isn't smooth. You get all these textures. You spraying obliquely, it'll just pick up. Right. And now we go to some. We want that dark brown. I don't thoroughly mix. There's always a small residue when I've cleaned the airbrush, and it doesn't really matter because I can always work it into the design, and it's one of the things that just occurred by accident because I had a t-shirt shop in Birmingham. Well, I started off as vintage clothing, but I got into doing t-shirts purely by accident, and it became very successful. And when you're doing lots of t-shirts, you're trying to maximise your time to speed to get the shirt done in as short as amount of time as you can to make the money. But and of course I didn't clean the airbrushes so well, but I used to work into the design. So that's how I got into that. And after the t-shirts, then I started doing canvas work, and now we're doing rocks. So now I've got some, I think it's violet or purple, and going to go into the dark markings again, which gives you a nice dark line rather than using black. I don't really like using black a lot because it's too stark and dramatic. With this violet goes over the brown, gives you a nice warm, rich brown. Get a nice sharp edge there. I might go back over the top with some light blue after. This is an old Medea. They don't make it anymore. I've still got some textile colour I used to use for t-shirts. It's a shame they don't make it anymore because it was a good paint. And another one you could use straight from the bottle without mixing. Can you give it a spray? Give it a coat of matte gloss. Oops, too much. It seals a layer, and then other colours on the top they shine through. If you did, sometimes I do a painting using matte gloss on each coat and seal it every time I do some work, and put a matte gloss over, and you get all these build-up of layers, which gives you the light shines through better. It gives you this is just a clear matte. Even it's got a little bit of yellow in it, but it doesn't matter. I finished when the stone's finished, all these stones finished. I always give them several coats of matte, and it seals them anyway. Stops them getting scratched. Clean the airbrush out, and I'll go back to some brushwork. I've switched over now to fine brush again, mixed some thinner white, and just going to go in and define some of these outlines lightly. And if it's too thick, you can always dab down with your finger. Just go around the outline. There's a very long white line down the side of its face there, and one across from the eye. It doesn't have to be a perfect straight line, you can just squidge in. This should set the back leg on the other side of the frog, so we get that contour. Clean the airbrush out. Just spray a little thin white onto the belly. Tone the brush strokes down. Okay, now we're switching to brown. I've just put a couple of drops into the airbrush. The beauty of the airbrush as well is you use the minuscule amount of paint that you can. With a cup this big, could probably do a portrait in one colour on a largish canvas. It's quite amazing. There we go, brilliant. And just go back onto the brown markings. Don't worry if you overspray, it's not a problem. It blends in. Just give a spray over the white grass marks. Needed a line there to define under its throat. Back these small markings on the belly. And there's a dark line under that ridge. Okay, now I'm going to clean the airbrush and mix some yellow with a little white in to make it slightly opaque and paler, and pick up some of the highlights on these bits where it's greener on, and then go in with some blue over the top to give a sort of greeny tint. It's very thin, so ease off with the pressure. If the paint runs, you're either using the paint very, very thin and the pressure is too high, so reduce your pressure on the trigger or turn the compressor down. I'll spray some of this away, and then we just want a little drop of blue in it to turn it green. You go into the shadows with it as well. This one's a bit too dark. Need to lighten that a bit, that's better. I'll clean the airbrush out. Okay, I'm back to pure white. And I'm going to go across the top again to lighten it so it'll bring it back. And it's sharper. This out and go back to some brushes again. Okay, now I've gone onto a very, very fine brush. I'm just going to try and put some highlights in the eye. And around the white line that goes down the side of it. Use your finger to dab down, it lessens its opacity. Okay, I've mixed a coolish grey using some opaque white and a couple of drops of I think ultramarine blue and just a speck of brown, and that's the colour. And using this small wide chisel brush, I'm going to go around the top of the frog to sharpen up. These chisel brushes are great because you can go in and drag the colour across, give you a nice sharp edge. I could have used tube acrylic that's thicker, but this is fine. It just needs more cover. So when you get into the edges, just pull the brush around. As you can see, it makes the frog stand out from the stone. Try not to get to go over the. There we go. But this chisel brush is brilliant because you can do flat, and then you can do nice sharp lines if you want. A nice contrast between that warm grey and the airbrushed part there. And these are interesting accidents that you get. Let's break this edge up as well. That's enough of that. Okay. Now we'll clean that brush and use some brushwork on the markings. Just using a little amount of brown. Finished with the brush, use some more of this bright yellow. Just try and pick up some of these little spots. Going to add a little bit of white to this. I'm going to give it another coat of gloss, matte gloss. Here we have a lighter brown. This is a art, and the transparents are brilliant. You don't need to thin them. Okay, and where the light brown parts are. In between the creases of the legs. Yeah. Turn this down around the edge of the stone. I'm now going to use the opaque white with a fine brush to pick out just a few details. Just white around the eye to make it pop a little. Give it another spray of matte gloss. Go back with the bluey grey I mixed. Now, give it another spray of matte. A little yellow in it. Go around the outside of the stone. I will use this warmer orange, I think. Break some of this a little bit away, and then add a drop of this orangey-red. Okay, I've cleaned the airbrush out and add a few drops of violet to go into the dark areas, and instead of black rather use blues and violets Okay, I've cleaned the airbrush and just check with some water if it's spraying okay. Yeah. And rather than use black to make darker lines, I'll use some violet. Okay, I've cleaned the airbrush and I'm using some matte gloss. I think we're at a point to wrap it up with the frog and give it a few coats of matte gloss to seal the paint. So rather than one heavy coat, I'll give it several thin coats. It's preferential to spray on it because if you use a brush and the surface hasn't dried properly, you'll rub it off. This is matte gloss, so it's not going to be shiny. The other thing you could use is yacht varnish or acrylic gloss varnishing cans you can spray on. It gives you a nice hard finish. Depends how far you want to go with the thing. I mean, if you want it to sit outside, then you're going to need some strong, maybe an acrylic gloss in a can, you know, automotive acrylic. I think I'll leave it. That's enough. And then I can always put some more on it tomorrow when it's dried. Well, when dried, it lets it really absorb what I put on. Okay, that's that. What I want to do now is just with some pure white, is pick out a few just white bits. Okay, just pure white. Can you see that? It's lifting it out. And tomorrow, after it's dried overnight, I can go. I've got some thick tube acrylic that I can put on, which will make it stand out even more. There's just a fine white line in front of the leg there. Okay, now we've come to this stage in the painting on the rock of this frog. Come to a point. I think it's finished now. We just need to put on, maybe tomorrow, another coat of gloss to seal it even more. But as you can see, it's a interesting thing to work on. And the airbrush has been fantastic. The evolution, superb. Nothing went wrong with it at all. Even using opaque white today, can't big it up enough. It's a very good instrument. It's well balanced, a great product. I like the weight of it, and this control is fantastic. And the way it sits under the finger, that's great. And it's got a nice weight to it. So that's it for that. I'd also like to thank my good friend Nobby, who provided me with these great Dr. Phineas Martin's paints. They've worked fantastically. I can't praise them enough. And that's about it. Hope you enjoy the painting of this tiny frog.
So happy to be able to bring Giorgio into our studio and share his incredible work with you guys. And here I have the frog on a rock in front of me. And I think the thing about this piece that's so special is just the fact that art can be wherever we choose to see it or wherever we choose to find it. And it can be done on anything. On anything. This is just a rock. This is the wonderful thing about acrylic paint, of course, is that you can paint it onto almost anything. But this just really symbolizes to me how we can find wonder wherever we choose to see it. We can create art wherever we choose to create it. And I'd really like you to take that as the message from this video. So please go away, be creative, share that with somebody dear to you, help somebody who needs your help to discover their creativity, and all the rewards will be rich for you. Thanks very much, and we hope that you come back and see us for the next one.